Today's channel tarot reading is to channel the energy of Mica Miller, who's a young woman from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And on April 27th, Mica Miller was found in her car, passed away from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, the reason that I wanted to channel Mica Miller is because there is a lot of speculation going on surrounding her death. Mostly, obviously, has to do with a particular person, which is her husband, the pastor, John Paul Miller. Basically, right before Mica Miller's passing, she actually filed for divorce from her husband. In fact, on April 25th, only 2 days before she was found, JP, her husband, was served with divorce papers. And on May 6th, the police actually released a report that showed that Mica had GPS tracking devices placed on her car before her death, in the weeks leading up to her death. Also, on May 6th, they released that 2 of Mica's siblings stated that Mica feared for her life amid those divorce proceedings. So on May 7th, they did release a phone call to 911 that Mica had made, telling authorities that she was actually going to do this to herself. She wanted to know if they could find out her location based on her cell phone. So yeah, and then the police report from February that was put in before the divorce papers were served, alleged that JP had been grooming her for years before their marriage. So in the case of Mica Miller, although it seemed like it was not really an open case to investigate, there are many people out there speculating, including Mica's close family and friends, stating they believe that her husband could have had something to do with this. So I decided that now I'm going to go ahead and make myself a channel for the energy of the beautiful Mica Miller to come through and to tell us what was really going on, what really happened at the time of her passing. So as usual, I'm going to be lighting this candle in honor of the energy of Mica Miller. And as long as this candle remains lit, I will be a channel for her energy to come through. All right. So I ask that the highest vibrations of light and love connect to my highest self and release all previous programming and unwanted energies, so I could be a clear channel for the energy of Mica Miller to come through. Mica Miller, as long as this candle is lit, I will be a channel for your energy to come through so you can tell us your story and we can find out what really happened. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start with this deck, even though this wasn't necessarily a crime, what took place involving others. But I really want to see what these murder mystery cards have to say about Mica Miller. All right. Tell us what really happened. Victim engaged in unusual behavior prior to the crime. And it's not necessarily a crime, like I said, but it's more like prior to this event of her taking her own life. So basically, Mica's admitting that she was engaging in unusual behavior for herself before this event took place. All right, let's see what else this deck has. dating history, or killer knew of the victim. So definitely had something, her passing, Mica Miller's passing, definitely had something to do with her spouse. Because this card says dating history. So there's definitely a dating history involved here. This history, again, like stated before, goes all the way back to when she was a teenager and she was a part of his congregation as a young teen. And she does believe that she was groomed in those early years. All right, I'm going to get one more of these cards before moving on to the next deck. Drugs may be an important factor in this case. It is true that she was on, according to her husband, the pastor, she was on mental health drugs, and he states that when she was not taking those drugs regularly, that this would cause her behavior to change. So it is possible that that is a point to consider here as well. All right, Mica. Now I'm going to shuffle the Rider-Waite deck, and I just want to get the energy of Mica Miller leading up to the event of her passing, of her taking her life. Okay, so we have the Nine of Cups. I do believe that she was emotionally putting herself in a better place right off the bat with that Nine of Cups. I feel like she was trying to find her happiness. We also got the Strength card reversed. So I think that a lot of that, I feel like she wasn't feeling, in the time leading up to her death, that she wasn't feeling internally strong, confident. She wasn't standing so much in her power. And we have the World reversed. All right. So I do feel like even though she was trying to find a particular level of happiness in her life, that she did have the sense that the whole world was against her in some way. Or the world was holding her back from finding that happiness that she wanted to find. And it did have a little bit to do with her own confidence issues. All right, now I'm going to just shuffle the Deviant Moon deck. I'm going to get a little more clarity on the energy of Mica leading up to her taking her life. Okay, so we have the Two of Cups reversed. Interesting. Obviously, this Two of Cups reversed is showing me that she felt like the whole world was against her and that she wasn't standing in her power, her own personal power, due to the crumbling of this relationship, with the Two of Cups being reversed. Next, we have the Five of Wands. Yeah, and that one was upright, coming right after the Two of Cups reversed. There was definitely a lot of defensiveness taking place here in Mica's experience leading up to the time of her taking her own life. I feel as though she felt like a constant war within her own thinking as well as with the outside world. I feel like she wasn't sure where to place her focus or her energy to get herself out of this feeling that the world is against her. And we have the Two of Pentacles, but that's reversed. It's like she couldn't make up her mind about a certain situation in her life. I feel when I see the Two of Pentacles reversed as well, the thing that I'm feeling right now from this as well is she wasn't sure how she was going to make it, basically like financially or in other ways like that. She wasn't sure which way she wanted to go as far as how to make a life for herself without this relationship that had taken so much from her, right? All right. Okay. So far, the victim, which is Mica herself, engaged in unusual behavior prior to this event. It had something to do with dating history, and it had something to do with drugs. Drugs could be an important factor in this case. Whether it was not taking the proper drugs or possibly even someone abusing drugs within this relationship as well. All right. Okay, Mica, can you tell us more about your relationship with John Paul? Gaslighting and false flag, right when I asked for more information about this relationship. So from the husband, regarding the husband, there's going to be a lot of gaslighting, a lot of false stories taking place. Right away, I'm thinking of the fact that she was recently, I believe part of what I heard here is that she was recently put into like a mental institution or something against her will, placed there by her husband shortly before her passing. All right, what else can you tell us about this relationship between you and John Paul Miller? Evil. And actually, John Paul said it himself that after it was found out that he posted a photo, a topless photo of Mica on the internet, he apologized to her in an email claiming that his actions were simply evil. And I believe that that wasn't the only action that he's done within this relationship that would be considered evil, especially next to the gaslighting and the false flag, being the other two cards that came up regarding this relationship. All right, what else can you tell us, Mica? Okay, so two flipped over here. We have underwater and distraction. I believe that a lot of the gaslighting and false flag is a distraction from things that are hidden under the surface in this relationship. And possibly just in general in this husband's personality. It's like keeping things under the surface, underwater, right? Not able to be seen up here. Okay, that was too many, so I'm going to move on to this other part of the deck. All right, Mica, what else do you want to tell us about? Okay, we got the social media card. So there's definitely going to be something on social media. Something can be revealed from what has been shared regarding this marriage, regarding this person, Mica, and her husband. We got the imprisonment card, as well as the grandparent card. I do feel, this is strange, but I do feel like this sense of imprisonment, and next to the grandparent card, strange, but I do feel this sense that the imprisonment next to grandparent is like, basically, I get this vibe that Mica was feeling imprisoned in this relationship, first of all, because of the age gap between the two of them, and also the fact that it's a power dynamic where he's been the pastor over her since she was a young teen, right? So with that being the case, it's like this unlevel playing field when it comes to starting a marriage, because she already viewed JP as like a authority figure over her. Yeah, we got the caregiver card and good. What's this mean? This caregiver good. Okay. Yeah, so she was imprisoned because he made himself out to be a good caregiver, someone who could take care of her not only financially and give her physical security, but someone who could also take care of her soul, right? Because he's a pastor and she was very connected to that spiritual part of herself, right? So in the beginning, everything looked good as far as a relationship goes. But then as soon as this imprisonment took place, marriage, it was like they became rivals. There was a polar shift taking place. So Mica had no idea which way is up anymore. And it's almost as though her husband, who was a good caregiver, suddenly became her rival. And someone who, it was a literal polar shift, right? So north is south and south is north, and all of a sudden you think everything's good with this person, but now suddenly they're your rival. They're no longer your friend. All right, Mica. Okay, there's also, oh wow, we got corruption and murder for hire. So there may be some type of corruption taking place as far as something being organized against Mica, even if it never took place. I feel like with the corruption and murder for hire card, and we've also already received the evil, gaslighting, and false flag cards, and the rival card, of course, imprisonment. I just feel like because of the corruption of this pastor, the corruption of his soul, because I truly do believe that in a way, he is evil, even if it's not like to the point of taking someone's life, but more evil in the sense of willingness to feed a false narrative, the willingness to gaslight someone and to imprison them and distract them, the willingness to make them feel good about you until you have them where you want them, and then just switching on them, right? So in that sense, yeah, look, this one just popped out, con man. So I feel like his corrupt spirit, his evil spirit, next to the murder for hire, I do feel as though he was setting up, like a con man, he was setting up this false flag, gaslit type of story regarding his wife. And as we know, he was speaking poorly of her to the congregation leading up to the time of her passing. All right. So I do feel like whether or not he did anything to actually end her life, he definitely was creating this narrative surrounding her. I think the murder for hire is, okay, this sounds weird, but the murder for hire card next to corruption is that it's almost as if he was gaslighting the entire congregation, you know, to literally kill her, not kill her physically, but to kill her reputation. Does that make sense? Within the church. So a lot of his corruption leading up to her passing was him creating these false narratives like a con man regarding his wife. Like trying to make people see her in a certain way. Trying to kill the person she has decided to be. Oops. Oh gosh. Collapse. That was too many. But right before all those popped out, we did get the Family Dynasty card. So let's see what goes with this Family Dynasty. Yeah, power. So I feel like with her husband being a pastor, he did get a sense of power from having a certain narrative, or what do I want to say? He has to have this certain look. He has to be married. He has to be happy. A good father, a good husband. So this sense of having a family and a beautiful wife and, a beautiful wife who loves God and who has a beautiful singing voice, all this just gave him this sense of power. And by losing her through divorce, he would actually, in his sense, lose some of his own power. This humanoid came out. I feel like, in a way, JP is almost programmed to a point where he just, what do I want to say? Humanoid is like a robot, right? So, because look at the image. It looks like a computer screen, whatever. It looks like a AI or something, right? So the vibe I'm getting from that humanoid card is that Mica Miller's husband was so programmed to be a pastor that he literally was on autopilot with the things that he would say, the things that he would do, how he would express himself through his family life and all of that. So I feel like he was so just thirsty and hungry for power that he was willing to be whatever it is the people wanted him to be in order to maintain that power. Does that make sense? All right, Mica, is there anything else you want to add to this story before we close for this reading? Yeah. Mica, I feel like Mica is the one, does have a little bit of regret over the mind control that took place in her life leading up to this imprisonment in this marriage with this rival, someone who totally changed on her like a polar shift. She has regret for letting this con man control her, distract her, gaslight her, feed the false flag narratives to her to keep her in his control, mind control. I think at the time of Mica Miller's passing, no matter what happened, she did feel regret, meaning I feel like she was becoming privy to what was taking place as far as the mind control is concerned, because you don't have regret over something unless you get out of denial, right? So as soon as she realized what had been taking place for all these years, it's like that led to that sense of regret because she could see more clearly who it was she was dealing with after trying to leave, right? All right, any final message? What's this? Yeah, we got the climate change card. With that, I'm just getting, again, that polar shift energy where it's like literally he changed from one thing to another, just completely a different person. We also got the life insurance. I don't know if you had a life insurance policy out on her or what? Ooh. Then, like, right after that, we get the bad guy and embezzlement cards. These two popped out at the same time, right after life insurance. Again, follow the money. We see that so much in these readings. At the bottom of the deck, too, it said rope. I didn't pull it out. But when I saw the rope, I heard giving... I heard that's like the sense of giving the rope. Giving enough rope to hang themselves, right? He's such a bad guy. This guy's a bad guy. We got evil, bad guy, con man, corruption, gaslighting. Okay, you guys. I just spilled a bunch, so we may be... I think it's about time to close this out for now. I'll try this other deck first before I go, just to see. Okay, Micah, is there anything else you want to add here? Let's try this one. Is there anything else you want to add? Oh, wow. We got first two... loyal and blackmail. And then we got the church and friend. So, in some way, I do feel like there's this sense, some kind of money is involved here. I don't know if there's some money mixing up with the church, between friends, between people the church knows. But there is more of a loyalty to the church and to money, is what I'm getting. More of a loyalty to church and to money than there ever was to his actual wife when it comes to the marriage between Mica Miller and her husband. So yeah, his loyalty lies with the darkness, the blackmail, the church, friends of the church. More so than with his own wife, who he met through the church and mind-controlled and groomed from an early age. At least that is what we're being told by Mica Miller's siblings and friends. So, in general, I think that, you know, if Mica Miller really did take her own life, it had a lot to do with this gaslighting, this con man energy. It had a lot to do with money and this sense of imprisonment and mind control, and even mixed feelings of regret kind of thrown in there as well. But it has a lot to do with holding power over a person based on, you know, grooming and mind control. Because we did get the family dynasty and power card. We got the gaslighting and false flag. We got corruption and con man. And we got regret and mind control. And let us not forget, we got all these cards about the polar shift, the caregiver becoming the rival, you know, and the money and the church and the friends of the church. He's a bad guy, okay? So, whether or not he actually pulled a trigger, I do believe that the marriage between Mica Miller and her husband could have led her down this dark path that led to the outcome that we found on April 27th. All right, so if you're still here now, be sure to send loving prayers to Mica Miller. Send her all of the light and love. She's in a different place now than she was as a human. And I believe that if she did this to herself, she literally felt that there was no way out of this imprisonment. Imprisonment with evil. So, I'm so sorry this happened, Mica. So yeah, just continue to send love and light prayers of love and light to the energy of Mica Miller. And also to her family that she left behind. And now it's time for me to send Mica Miller back to the energy from where she came. So I'm going to blow out this candle, and I will no longer be a channel for the energy of Mica Miller to come through. So Mica Miller, thank you so much for being here and for giving us a little insight into what led to your tragic ending. Thank you so much for being here. And now I send you back to the energy from where you came. I love you.